We can have the presentation up, please. Thank you. So as you can see here, his first slide said Barbados ripe for investment, and that is absolutely true. There are a number of opportunities in Barbados which are ready for the investor. As Barbados looks to diversify its economy, we look to other sectors other than tourism, though we still make sure that we invest, keep our tourism product up. But we are looking at a number of other sectors out there in terms of investment. Kevin's presentation will aim to give you an insight of what an overview of Barbados, how we stand in terms of certain rankings, what are our main sectors for investment, and some of our achievements and growth trajectory over the past few years and into the future. This is just a disclaimer, don't worry all the words and stuff like that. So Barbados is the most easternly Caribbean sovereign, situated about 300 miles off the coast of South America. International memberships include the United Nations, the Inter-American Development Bank, the IMF, WTO, the World Bank, and CARICOM. We have a high literacy rate and a well-educated workforce. What I would say here, it is actually mandatory and for young children to go to school from the age of maybe even 2, to preschool, up to the age of 16. They have to. And education in Barbados, throughout that primary period, and also tertiary education, is free of cost. So that is backed by the government. So everyone in Barbados is exposed to education. We are a parliamentary republic with English as our common language and an English common law judicial system. Some other quick facts: the GDP as of 2022 was US 584.7 million. We currently have a population of 268,000 or thereabout. Our GDP per capita is US 220,018, and according to year-to-date inflation is at 2.3. Our foreign exchange rate is actually pegged to the US dollar in terms of 2 Barbados dollars to 1 US dollar, and our gross international reserves is around 1.4 billion US dollars, and this information is at September 2023. So if we look at, these are some of the sectors in which Barbados has the potential to produce at international competitive prices. And some of these sectors are things such as tourism, international business service, agro-processing, and the green economy. And if you look at our pie chart here, you will see that the international business and other services actually take up 33.6% of the GDP, while the tourism is at 12%, or main sectors, and then you have transportation and storage at 12.9%. What this really says is that there's a lot of potential for growth in a lot of the sectors that are listed here, and we look forward to engaging with you when the presentations are over in terms of B2B to discuss your investment opportunities. Barbados has a strong and competitive business environment. So according to the World Governance Indicators, Barbados is ranked very strong across its 6 categories that measure the quality of governance. And governance to Barbados is very important. So ranging between the 71st to the 92nd percentiles, and better than all Latin American and Caribbean in all countries. That is where we rank in terms of governance. Political stability and the absence of violence and terrorism indicators is Barbados' strongest indicator. at the 92nd percentile, followed by control of corruption indicator at nearly 90th percentile rank. Barbados has one of the highest per capita incomes in the region, consistent with its high standard of living. The human development has been a priority of successive governments, resulting in an educated and well-trained labor force. According to the 2022 UN Human Development Index, Barbados was ranked 71st globally and one of the highest in its region. Barbados continues to be very competitive compared to other persons in the region and continues to climb all of its international rankings. It is at the top of regional rankings in terms of things like infrastructure, labor force efficiency. We talk about higher education and strong educational institutions, technology readiness, despite having a very small domestic market. What were some of our growth strategies? In 2022, or BERT 2022 as we like to call it, incentivize public and private sectors to invest in green transition. You would know, we know throughout all the media and everything, our Prime Minister is very, very strong advocate for climate and climate change and the green transition. Actually, Barbados is looking to go carbon neutral by 2030. Which is a yeoman feat, but we are on our way to doing it. So we have incentivized through the program the green transition. We've boosted competitiveness, diversification of the economy, investments in sectors like health, education, poverty eradication, social development, and the management of the public debt. Barbados is using all of its power to also play a catalytic role through legislation, regulation, and investment, facilitation, and empowerment. So where would our growth predominantly be from? Our growth would be predominantly private sector driven and export led and supported through investment in climate resilience infrastructure and the green transition, investment in low and middle income housing, investment in enhanced skills training, education, especially in new sectors, in high skill, knowledge-based digitization, so things like AI and robotics, the mobilization of domestic savings for local investment for Barbadians, establishing the Barbados as a logistics hub for the Caribbean and Latin America area, improving productivity and continuing adaptation of more open and flexible labor market policies. One of the best incentives in terms of investment is the fact that we are actually pegged to forever. Tourism, increasing, although the economy and tourism up and competitive. Opportunities to increase the product for companies within the tourism, partnering with the private sector to increase reach and add versatility when promoting the local tourism product, creating an attractive investment package. Creating an attractive investment package for the tourism product and investment in new tourism projects, which will see the tourism product being more modernized, being more digitized, et cetera, et cetera. So these are a lot of new incentives and a lot of new projects we are putting out there. Some of the projects you may be hearing about if you do visit Barbados, or you may be interested in looking into to see exactly what we're doing, are things like the Hotel Indigo, the Pandry Hotel, the Royalton Hotel, the Marriott's Group for Refurbishment, and our Pearhead project. And any of the team here from Barbados will be willing to have that conversation with you in terms of these projects and what other projects are available for investment as we engage you in the B2B meetings after the forum. You can also visit the Invest Barbados website and download something called the Blue Book, which actually has all of the investment projects, whether it is tourism, whether it's philanthropy, agro-processing, in that Blue Book that are ready and shovel-ready for investment. And that Blue Book can be found at www.investbarbados.org. So agro-processing and logistics, we keep hearing these things all the time. We're saying, well, Barbados is, we said it's 300 miles off the coast of South America. That seems far. It really is not. It is one straight line from, and I know Phil would agree with me, from Accra, is Accra? In Ghana, one direct straight line. So if you had a very powerful microscope or stethoscope, you can look through it, you look straight across, you will see our little island there, and we'll be there waving back at you and saying, come on down, right? It is the perfect location in terms of a logistics hub. It is situated just outside of the remaining Caribbean chains of Caribbean island chain, and is the perfect place to be the hub for logistics for the remainder of the Caribbean and Latin America. So according to Kevin, or myself now, Barbados' geographical position serves as an advantage in establishing itself as a transshipment point for agricultural products, for both coastal Latin America and the Caribbean island chain. 2 hubs are being proposed for Barbados. The regional logistics hub is intended to be a transshipment point for emergency supplies in the event of an emergency, and is in partnership with the World Food Programme, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, and the Government of Barbados. The other logistics hub is the Barbados-Guyana Brazil Food Terminal, which will import Guyanese and Brazilian produce and also serve as a base for exports to other Caribbean islands and to Miami. And I can tell you, we are also looking at one of those hubs, or adding Evergreen to one of those logistics hubs. Again, getting product and food from Africa or produced in the Caribbean out to the world, whether it is back to Africa, whether it's to the Americas, whether it is to Latin America, whether it's to the rest of the Caribbean. This is expected, obviously, to improve food security. Food security, obviously, is very important, and we learned that in the advent of the COVID pandemic, and how important your supply chain really is. So it is expected to improve food security regionally and improve inter-regional trade and logistics capacity. Climate smart and regenerative tropical agriculture and nutritious foods. We will develop a PPP to deliver national compost facilities, soil health equipment, reclaimed water pipeline, and water catchments with a cost recovery from farmers, a fee for the service. The private sector investment will deliver fertilizer bulk blending plant supported by incentives from the government. A PPP to deliver food terminal, national pack house, and a modern abattoir with cost recovery from farmers, again, a fee for service. Efficiencies are expected through the reclamation of water from homeowners' power by renewable energy program, or what we like to call in Barbados the HOPE program. And this is harvesting the rain runoff from the roofs and the roads and utilizing water treatment plants to repurpose the water. And water is collected. The water collected is then used for agriculture irrigation to further Barbados' food security initiatives. And then you heard me spoke earlier about Barbados and its intention to go green, carbon neutral by 2030. So it is committed to becoming 100% renewable by 2035 under the National Energy Policy Framework with a regulatory framework that promotes investment in clean energy. Investment opportunities exist in wind power, solar power, and the green and blue hydrogen. And these are just a few of the projects that we're looking in terms of investment. You have 180 megawatt centralized solar power PV, 100 megawatt distributed solar power PV, 60 megawatt solar thermal, 166 onshore wind. You have a 25 megawatt biogas to energy and an 8 megawatt waste to energy. So there's also opportunities for storage, and these investments would opportunities include battery and renewable chemistry. Tax incentives are offered to allow participants within the clean energy space to reduce their tax payable and costs in terms of related to their business. Again, another way to encourage investment into these areas. And now we move to the sector of transportation and housing. And greening the transport sector. I'll tell you, if you come to Barbados now, maybe 1 out of every, 10, 15 persons have at least some form of a electric, hybrid, green vehicle. They may have the other ones too, but they do at least one of them. And it's continuing to grow, and persons, as they swap out their vehicles, are looking towards those hybrid or fully electric vehicles. So there's public sector investment has included the conversion of public transportation fleet actually to electric buses. The private sector investment in the green transport sector has been encouraged through access to financing for electric or plug-in hybrid vehicles. And there's also government incentives to encourage expansion of EV and infrastructure. So then we go to procurement of climate resilient housing. The government has led the charge in procuring low and middle income homes through the home ownership powered by renewable energy program HOPE and procurement strategy partnership for commercial entities that reduce the cost of building and finishes, etc. There's also joint partnerships that are being sought to provide capital while government entities provide the land. Other government initiatives include the access to financing to households to install roof straps and water tanks. Now, you would have seen me, and he walked in at the perfect time. Because while I'm also an economist at trade, I haven't really been practicing it for that long. So I would now like to actually call the person that's supposed to be standing here, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, the governor of the Central Bank, to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can I borrow it? Oh, I don't know. No, she can't read anything. Good afternoon, everyone. I heard her. She did an amazing job, no? Wow. A round of applause for Clay again. Sorry, I had to step out because we were just concluding our IMF review mission, second review, which Prime Minister was leading off on. We concluded a very successful mission, met all our targets, our benchmarks, and so it was necessary for me to step away. But I stepped away knowing that the wickets were in good hands. By the way, you know that's my sister, right? Hey, I taught her everything she knows. Not everything I know, though. Yes, please. So, thank you, Kate. Let me push on. So, she dealt with the investment opportunities, etc. And I would just start off talking about the recent performance of the economy. Like most countries in the world, we were being heavily hit by the COVID pandemic. Like everyone, we lost close to 15% of our GDP. That was back in 2020. We got hit by a hurricane. We got hit by ashfall. We got hit by everything that came our way. The partner got me blocking right here. Hope you move it. Anyway, but we are back. As Kay would indicated, we bounce back, and not only bounce back, we bounce back with great vigor. We've had 10 quarters of strong economic growth. The economy today is larger than it was pre-COVID, both in real and nominal terms. Okay? We're open for business. The most important thing about this growth too, not only are we larger, we grew for the first 9 months by 4.3%. That's on top of the 9 months last year, 17. But not only we larger, if you look at this one here, and you check just this bar here, you will see they're all above these zero lines, so all sectors are growing. We are firing on all cylinders, which argues well for investment. Of course, tourism leads the pack in terms of it, but tourism also contributes indirectly about 25% to the rest of the economy. But all other sectors, so now is the time to invest. I think that in message Kay have told you, and if you go to the chart on the right, this ain't no win-win fancy air growth. This is inclusive growth. And that is why you are seeing the unemployment rate in Barbados down to one of the lowest we've ever had in a while. And around just about 8% quarter on quarter. Low unemployment, a robust growth we're having. I just giving you economic dynamics, and we expect this to continue. Foreign reserves is like that of a small country like Barbados. If we don't have foreign reserves, for all intents and purposes, we could got all Bajan money that we can put in another river, still can't buy nothing with it. And you want to know from an investor's perspective that you have the foreign currency, that when you come to Barbados, you're able to change that. Well, I hope you bring some dollars too and some money, but you have enough that you can buy imports. Our foreign reserves are at the highest level. We have almost 8 months of foreign reserve cover. If we don't buy in, we don't earn any more, we can survive for 8 months. International accepted standard is 3 months. So we have good buffers. And all these I'm saying to show you that the economy is strong. Now is the time for investment in the Barbados economy. Finally, inflation. I just give you the big pictures. Inflation. Everywhere in the country, you know how we are exposed as a small country to the viruses of the international environment, particularly oil prices, commodity prices, food prices, etc., right? We had some really high inflation around COVID time. Then we bottlenecks, etc. Inflation has started to slow. This year we're at 4.3%, and we've been slowing. If you could see the curve from somewhere around here, we've been slowing for a while. And now, with the lower international prices, we see it continue to slow. Of course, there's domestic factors keeping it a bit hot, but those are good factors. Some, like you open up of the economy, where everyone want to get out and enjoy themselves and spend money. They call it economics to trade off. You get some inflation, but you get growth. That's good. On the flip side, we have some adverse weather conditions affecting food crop that keep prices high, and this international price for beans and greens and oil remain high, but inflation is looking good in general. On the fiscal, government, since we began the BERT program in 2018, has stabilized the fiscal, consolidated fiscal, and attained fiscal sustainability. What I mean by that? For the first time, we have started running primary surpluses since 2018, first in a long, long time, and maintain them up to now. What that means is that we put inside more and more money for investment, to pay down debt, and to get the economy going. Because investment is what drives economic growth in any country, but particularly in Barbados. Governments investing up to 5% by fiscal space they're creating, 5% of GDP, and we expect the private sector to go up to about 15%, $2 billion a year. That's why I'm here, to help promote that. And so the fiscal is looking very good, and as you can see, our debt is not something you have to worry about. We have fixed our debt position, which was in a very difficult situation beginning the program, from 178% third highest indebted country in the world. Now we are 115%, and expected to break beyond 100% in next year or so. So all the fundamentals, economic fundamentals, are heading in the right way, broad-based, sustainable and inclusive growth, low inflation, strong fiscal position, lots of reserves. What else you can want on this sandwich? Everything you need. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, that's the banking system, a very healthy banking system. So healthy that they have excess reserves about $3 billion in liquidity, looking for projects and investment projects and partnership. And with the addition of Africa Bank into the banking space, that even strengthens it more. You can see the non-performing loans are down back to pre-COVID times. People are paying the debt. Of course, when the economy is doing good, persons will go and pay the debt, will start to borrow, so credit is starting to increase. And all sectors are now born, so their investment opportunities to partner with local persons and tap into the banking system to create signatures in investment financing, creative financing. And in terms of what we expect now under our macro programming framework on the IMF, we target about 3% growth. But from a government's perspective, what we do internally, we actually target 5% growth in the economy. That 5% over a number of years will transform by business because we won't recognize it. It will trigger all. How are we going to get that? Through, as I say, investment, both public sector and private sector. That's what we need. Investment drives it. Government is doing the investment by running sufficiently primary balances to allow for capital investment in roads, in infrastructure, and in fixing things to encourage and promote private sector investment. And we expect the private sector to come along. In terms of inflation, we expect inflation to settle down to 3%, which is the natural inflation rate in Barbados, given that we have a fixed exchange rate, which Kia would have mentioned, tied to US dollar for the last, well, from the time I was a baby, no more a few years, forever. It's sacrilegious, that's the right word? Sacred. Right. And so that gives the investors also a sense of anchorage, a sense of confidence. You don't have to worry about the exchange rate fluctuation, exchange rate costs. And I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Greenidge. Of course, if you have any burning questions for Dr. Greenidge, for my half of the presentation or his half of the presentation, he will be available after the forum to have those conversations and maybe to explain some more of those numbers, more in-depth explanation of some of those numbers. So here on the agenda, I am seeing that we will actually now give you a taste. Those persons who have never been to Barbados, you would actually now see why you should try to visit. I mean, we're not even saying invest, although we would love you to invest. But this actually gives you a snippet of the beauty of Barbados, those sectors that we have ripe for investment. And we invite all of you to come visit us.
We are an island of 430 square kilometers and a country punching above its weight, with free healthcare and free education to a tertiary level for all its community. Our heritage is one of stability, fair elections, and good governance. With easy access via international air and seaports, excellent highways, high-speed telecommunications, modern healthcare facilities, and a low crime rate, this is the place to bring your family, the place to live, the place to be. We welcome you to stay in an island that offers an enviable quality of life. It is an environment with a highly qualified workforce and creative minds. With a well-regulated business setting, competitive corporate taxes, and an expanding treaty network, we are open for business. We are consistently breaking new barriers and exploring possibilities. We grow families, spread joy, and bring light for those who cannot see. Our landscape is vibrant and brimming with opportunities as we build green, blue, and orange economies, not just colors, but who we want to be. Come, join us. For investment opportunities, contact investbarbados.org.
And I actually do not come with the visit to Barbados. I just, was there in the video. just want to put that out there. But that is but a view of what you can see and get in Barbados. True story, because apparently I'm supposed to give you some more investment insights, but since Kevin would have written them all in his presentation, which I happened to make, I wouldn't repeat those. But just to give you two examples in terms of how investment can grow in Barbados. If you notice from the video, there was one of the frames show some person with something being dropped in their eye or something with an eye, and the caption said, "We give you ways sight that you can see." One of the most successful lens manufacturing companies is actually situated in Barbados. It manufactures those lenses so it's literally give you sight so you can see. It manufactures those lenses that persons use for glaucoma, when you cut cataract and so on. This company has been operating in Barbados for the past maybe 20 or so years, and started out as a small company and actually now has over maybe 500 employees. The other company is a company called Gildan, who is the manufacturer of all the active wear. We like to exercise and stuff and so on and keep our weight down and our figures. All of that active wear you see from Gildan and so on is managed out of Barbados. While the actual product is manufactured somewhere else, Gildan's entire operation, administration, HR, finance, sales, and marketing all happen from that small little island that you see there of Barbados. And I can name many others that have come, have sought, have been successful, and have chosen to remain and stay in Barbados. We like to say, come to Barbados, where you can live, work, play, and invest, and enjoy the quality of life that we have to offer in our small, beautiful island. But who better to actually give you some more insights and why we want to have this collaboration between Africa and Barbados? Who better to tell you that than our commercial and cultural attaché, Mr. Phillips, Barbados High Commission, who is in the Barbados High Commission in Accra, Ghana. And he is going to talk to you now about reclaiming our Atlantic destiny. Phil?
Good afternoon. Any Ghanaians in the house? Ago. Ago? All right. I couldn't help that. I always wanted to get on a podium and say Ago. Because the Ghanaians know how important that is. I am so honored to be here today with the team from Barbados. And I'd like the team from Barbados to stand so you can see the delegation. You can see these hard-working people. Give them a round of applause. Wonderful, wonderful. Led by our master ceremonies. And as I said, I'm tremendously honored. The context today is to try to put the pieces together. Because when we talk about investment, by extension, we are talking about people and how people live their lives. And it's the contention of the Prime Minister of Barbados that Africa is more about reclaiming our Atlantic destiny. If we are fundamentally aligned there, business will continue to happen. So we're not speaking today just as investment analysts or representatives of Barbados. We are speaking in the context that we are you and you are us. So let's get going. The government of Barbados and Guyana established diplomatic relations in 1994. And in 2021, Barbados opened its High Commission in Labone, Accra. Yes? Yeah? The Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, has shaped the diplomatic philosophy with Africa under the theme, Reclaiming Our Atlantic Destiny, as I mentioned. This has allowed the High Commission of Barbados to the Republic of Guyana to the creative space within which to configure and build the ancestral bridge. In just 2 years, Barbados has been able to develop and build a fairly robust network, both at the commercial level and at the cultural level in Ghana, and across G2G, B2B, and C2C. And C2C is the cultural linkages. We have been able to have our rum. How many of you know that Barbados is the home of rum? Let's see your hands. So in this room, what we're saying today is that less than 1% of the audience is aware that rum started in Barbados. And hence, by extension, Barbados produces the finest rum in the world. Can we have a clap for that? So I want you to leave here as ambassadors of Barbados's rum by sharing with at least 5 people over the next 5 hours that Barbados invented rum. And by extension, I like to tell my Ghanaian family that that means that Ghana also had a stake in the invention of rum. Ghana and West Africa. So also give yourselves a clap. So our rum is distributed by a Mexico group of companies, one of Ghana and West Africa's largest distributors. And from all reports, our brands are already performing above expectations in the trade. Under the guidance of Export Barbados and the Shop Barbados initiative, we are preparing to introduce new consumer packaged goods to the Ghanaian market within the coming weeks. What we see as one of our most meaningful and significant accomplishments in Accra to date is the development of Barbados's relationship with the paramount chiefs of Ghana. We have been invited to attend several coronations, and I'm not sure if Dr. Asari is here today, of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, but I recently had the pleasure of attending her coronation as a Queen Mother. Give her a round of applause, even although she's not here. And we've also been attending many festivals. And as a result, we'll definitely seek to expand on and enhance these relationships as we go forward to, as I said, reclaim the ancestral bridge in the next few months. It is our hope that with the evolution of this treasured relationship will come the benefits of greater awareness and the embracement of our shared history between the citizens of Ghana and West Africa, and of course, Barbados. We have not ignored our mutual respect for faith and spirituality, and have been able to forge initial linkages between the Pentecostal Church of Barbados and Ghana. And we expect to see the manifestation of this communication in the weeks ahead. We are about to sign an MOU between the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and the Ghana Chamber of Commerce as well. Barbados believes it can expand collaboration at both the government-to-government level, the B2B level in West Africa, and against the backdrop of the provision of social services to citizens which Barbadians enjoy. For instance, every Barbadian enjoys free health care. Every Barbadian enjoys free education, as alluded by Kay earlier, up to tertiary level. Every Barbadian who has a non-communicable illness is able to have drugs, pharmaceuticals, free of cost. Barbados also believes its tourism and hospitality sectors could be a pivotal place from which it can develop pioneering collaborations with Africa. With the establishment of the Barbados Community College Hospitality Institute, now renamed the Jean and Norma Holder Hospitality Institute, which is celebrating 27 years of history, Barbados is confident that there are opportunities for cooperation and technical assistance between Barbados and Ghana and West Africa. Tourism has become the business of every Barbadian, with tourism accounting for 40% of the country's GDP. We are satisfied with collaborations between Barbados and West Africa. There can be mutual benefits to be derived in terms of the expansion of the tourism product. And we know that, for instance, in Ghana, there is a very heavy focus right now on tourism, the development of a tourism industry. And we are very, very confident that the collaboration between Barbados and Ghana will bear fruit in this area. So it's just up for me to say, in closing, we wish all of the exhibitors and participants a very productive IFTA 2023. And we also say to you that we look forward to continuing an exciting and mutually progressive partnership with Ghana, West Africa, recognizing, as I said, that we are you and you are us. Thank you, my sisters and brothers. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Phil. I almost forget the amount of things that we are actually doing with Africa. It's leaving us breathless, but we will continue on that trajectory and make sure that all of these actions and events and possibilities and MOUs and all of that continue to bear fruit and to allow us to reclaim that Atlantic destiny that we are so that we should have never been broken in the first place. So you've heard a lot about the hardcore investment sectors, but a lot of the times we forget what grounds us sometimes in who we are, as we like to say in Barbados. And I actually want to say what actually grounds us that we actually know the connection between Barbados and Africa. And it is something we like to call the orange economy, something that we like to look at in terms of our cultural connections, right? And who better to come and speak to you about investments in that area, investments in the orange economy, from all film, culture, and all of that, and bringing us home and linking us together, but the CEO of the National Culture Foundation, Miss Carol Roberts.
Good evening, everyone. That welcome from my compatriots may make you think that I'm going to sing. I'm absolutely not going to sing. But I want to say good evening and bring you warmest wishes from the government and people of Barbados, as CEO Kay already alluded to, in particular, our esteemed Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, who, with Kay, is Minister of Finance, is Minister of Culture. And in any given day, Prime Minister Motley can wear both hats, but with different results. I also want to say it's an absolute pleasure to speak to a room full of people where I look around and I can't tell who is from the Caribbean and who is from Africa. And that should be indication enough to all of us that this is not so much a work in progress, but more importantly, a work at an initiative whose time, though long in coming, has finally come. The National Cultural Foundation is the government of Barbados' execution and developmental arm for the orange economy, the creative industries, arts and culture, however you want to refer it. And I've listened intently to my friends and colleagues talk about the GDP and the growth rate and our very significant achievement in keeping unemployment figures down and all of the various areas ripe for investment. And they're absolutely correct. But all of these areas and their potential for success ride on one thing. And that one thing, that one intangible piece of magic, is our culture. And that culture permeates every single way of life, as it does in any other country, in any other jurisdiction. But Barbados is special. We like to see ourselves, and the Prime Minister talks about it all the time, as the country at the center of history. We're not small, but we kind of mighty. That a country that is 166 square miles could give you the greatest cricketer the world has ever known in the Right Excellent Cigar Fuel Sobers, could give you the World Draft Go As You Please champion in Ronald Suki King. And has anyone heard about Rihanna? All Barbadian, and that's just 3. At home we have a saying, and I'm gonna say it in Bajan, wherever you go, you'll find a Bajan. Y'all can't repeat that, but it's very simple. Wherever you go, in almost every area of endeavor, you will find a Barbadian. And that Barbadian will be working hard, they'll be resilient, they'll be thriving, and they will be making a meaningful contribution to whatever area of endeavor in which they're engaged. But let's get back to the culture. And for centuries, we just lived happily. A happy people, not happy-go-lucky, a happy people, bouncing back from setbacks, whether natural or orchestrated, working hard with a firm belief in education and family and fellowship and friendship, all bonds that bound us to our African heritage and psyche. And in the last decade to 2 decades, we've decided that it's time to monetize, to commercialize, to exploit in the most positive way possible as many aspects of our culture as we can, whether it be in film, or fashion, or food, or festivals. And so here we are today to just give you a snapshot, a soupçon of what is available and ready for collaboration and partnership in Barbados. I could stand here and talk for half an hour without clicking this thing because I'm not very tech savvy at all, but I'll try. Oh, there you go. Our vision at the National Cultural Foundation is to fuel the development of culture, to provide opportunities for Barbadian creatives to enable them to be competitive on local, regional, and international markets, and to fuel the development of culture through training, research, and the creation of economic opportunities in cultural industries. Let me break it down. We have a rich, vibrant culture, and as I told you before, over the last 2 decades, we have embarked upon monetizing it and exploiting it in the best ways possible. And so there are 3 areas that I want to encourage you to consider this evening when it comes to investment in our orange economy. Those 3 areas are in training and development. We have a fledgling layer of cultural practitioners that in order to advance and to really make the most of their God-given talent, we need investment in training and development. The second is in commercializing and monetizing all of those intangible areas of excellence for which we are so proud. One such area is in logistics and project management. Another saying is that a Bajan will just regulate it to death. But there is an upside of that, and that is that when it comes to festivals and events and conferences in the Caribbean, we are tops. And we dare say, if we're tops in the Caribbean, then we are among one of the best islands for coordination, logistics, and execution in the world. So let's go to film and TV development. This is another fledgling area in our orange economy, but it's an area that is ripe for investment. Whether you are considering film locations, in other words, for film shoots, whether you're interested in post-production expertise, whether you're interested in establishing a hub from where you can then have tentacles throughout the Caribbean and Latin America, Barbados is the place to be for film and television development. The government is on the cusp of legislating a Film Act, which will provide a very attractive suite of incentives and rebates, and I would encourage you to get in on the ground early. And for all of our investment projects, there is the potential for commercialization, but there is also their potential, as I said, for training and development to bring that particular workforce along, both to your benefit and, of course, to the benefit of the country. Festivals and music. If you know anything about Barbados, you know anything about the Caribbean, we work hard, and some may say, will dare say we play harder. And we've been able to corral that energy, corral that creative expression into our festivals and music industry. You've all heard of soca, have you? You've all heard of calypso, have you? What time is it? You've all heard of soca, have you? Right. So that's the music that is the soundtrack, the primary soundtrack of festivals in the Caribbean. But the root of soca is the music of Africa. The root of calypso is the music of Africa. We just express it differently because we know why and we know the story of our history. Festivals, whether there be food festivals, music festivals, literary arts festivals, Barbados is quickly becoming the hub for the production of world-class events, usually staged over long weekends, or in the case of our annual Crop Over Festival, staged over a period of 6 weeks. Small country, mighty dreams. And when it comes to the Crop Over Festival, we are proud to say over that 6-week period, our contribution, where is the governor of the central bank? Our contribution to the local economy in 6 weeks with a spend of 4.2 million Barbados dollars is well over 120 million Barbados dollars. That's what we generate just by producing a single festival over 6 weeks. Another one of our fledgling areas ripe for investment that I'd like to consider is our fashion industry. But I'd like to consider it in a different way. We've got the creativity, we have got the designers, and a lot of designers doing well in the international markets. What we need are reliable, efficient, reasonably priced supply chains for raw materials and machinery. And that access to raw materials, production facilities, and the transfer of skills is one of those key areas ripe for investment. So I told you about our fledgling film sector with great potential for the creation for film products, and it's also an excellent location for the production of film and TV. And I also mentioned our very soon to be announced incentives for the film industry. Speaking of festivals, over 10 festivals a year, and critical to the execution of the festivals is our very relatively small compared to other countries, but extremely talented pool of musicians, dancers, actors, and also the support services required to roll out such a festival. So whether it's lighting, sound, animation, digital technology, the expertise is already there. At the moment, a lot of that expertise is exported. And so you will find from Andrea Bocelli to Machel Montano to Beanie Man to even Burna Boy, you will find dancers, costume stylists, sound and lighting engineers as members of their production teams. We would also like to encourage you to consider 3 things. At the bottom, investment, because that's what we've been talking about all evening. But I'd want to draw your attention to our invitation to partner and collaborate with us in the area of skills sharing, whether it's in festival and event production, in technical production, but also in academic programs in creative industries. And thirdly, collaborations. Investment, yes, straight dollars and cents. But it's part of our culture, our shared African culture, to collaborate. the spirit of cooperation, in the principle of cooperatives. And so we are also very interested in having discussions with you on co-productions in film, music and songwriting camps, and festival production. In short, the creative industries, the orange economy, culture, however you term it, is ripe and ready for investment in Barbados. We have our strong, stable education system. We have our built for purpose infrastructure. But for me, our most important asset, two things, our people and our shared ancestral DNA. And so we may not be the largest, but we have the biggest hearts and imaginations. And we have a huge history of resilience and determination. We are most definitely not the richest monetarily, but we possess a wealth of experience, creativity, and purpose. We're not the nearest to you geographically, but we are inextricably linked by our ancestral navel strings. The Caribbean is our region, Barbados is our home, but Africa is our ancestral birthplace. I look forward to discussing our initiatives with you, and thank you very much. Good evening.
Wow. I'm sure that everybody now wants to come down for those 6 weeks of crop over and those play hard weeks.